Hey everyone, it's Mike here from The Art of Guitar, here with another bad tab video. I love this series. It's a lot of fun to make these. It's so nostalgic for me to go back and check out these old tab books that I used to learn from. And it really makes me appreciate what we have today as far as the availability of information, tab, technology to help us learn guitar. And sometimes it takes going back to the old days to really see how far we've come. So way back when I was a kid, my sister had bought the first Extreme cassette tape. And it had the song Play With Me, I believe it's called, where Nuno Bettencourt just does this amazing solo. And I remember back then thinking, this guy is a god, you know what I mean? I was just so in awe of his playing. So when Extreme 2 Pornograffitti came out, I heard the solo to Get the Funk Out. And it blew my mind again. And I just thought to myself, I have to learn how to play that. So I saved up about a month's worth of allowance to buy this book. And this is the actual book that I bought, by the way. And I was so excited to bring it home. And I opened right to the solo for Get the Funk Out. And I went to the tapping section. And if you ever saw the tab for this before, you know my disappointed feeling when I realized that there's no way I'm going to be able to play this thing according to how the book said it was played. I thought Nuno Bettencourt must be an alien or something to be able to play this up to speed. So it wasn't until years later that I saw a video of him actually doing it live, and I went, that's not what the book said. That looks way easier. And that's when I started to lose faith in tab books. So I had a lot of subscribers write in and say, Mike, you have to do a video on the tapping part to get the funk out. So I call it the 4 most insane measures in tablature history, because it really is. Oh, by the way, today my page holder is going to be this cool Kiss coaster. The cover of Destroyer right there. My friend Jessica made these for me. She also took 3 other albums that I love and made them into coasters. So thank you, Jessica, and that's what I'm going to be using today. So before I actually show you what the book says to do, I'm going to show you a general idea of what the solo tapping pattern is. And really it's just one pattern. And then he just moves it up the frets. So I'll put tab down for the very first pattern, and then you could just move it up according to where it has to go. So here's what it is. That's the basic pattern, and then you just move it up. There are some little anomalies that he does, like when he moves up for the next one, he does a little bit of a different tapping pattern just in one little section, but the rest of it follows that general idea. So what I'll do is I'll play this to a slower backing track so you could hear that in action, and then I'll do it at a faster speed so you could hear it close to the actual tempo. Then we'll take a look at what the book says and compare them. A little quick note, at the very end, I just do this chromatic tap thing. Every time I've seen Nuno do this live, he kind of changes it a little bit or skips it altogether. So I just do this little type thing and it seems to work. Okay, now we'll do it close to album speed so you can hear it in full effect. Okay, now let's go to the book for the infamous 4 measures. And even though it's only 4 measures long, there are so many notes crammed in. This took me 3 weeks just to be able to play this through slowly. So in the very beginning, we have a tap sequence on 1 string. So we have to do this kind of a big stretch from the 3rd fret to the 7th fret. So it's making us jump from here up to here. Then we skip a string, and then we have to go up here and go like this. Now this is where things go off the rails, like right away. They want us to reach up to the 6th fret of the 1st string after hitting the 1st fret. So they want you to do this gigantic alien stretch. That's why I thought he was an alien. So you have to reach up and then pull off back to the 1st fret. Now when I first started to try this, my hand hurt after a while, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to injure my hand over tab that's not even correct. So instead I'm going to just tap it to save myself the future physical therapy. And I'm actually going to replace a lot of the huge stretches with taps just for that same reason. Now you can already tell how insane all that moving is when you don't really have to do that in real life. Okay, let's move to the second measure. So we start off with some hammer-ons and pull-offs and then jump right into taps again. One good side effect of actually trying to learn this wrong version is I'm getting way better at tapping and moving around the neck. So I guess that's a positive thing. Now the third measure is where I could picture a lot of people giving up. That's where I gave up back in the day, because watch what happens. They want us to do some really bizarre climbs that aren't even really possible. Now, they expect us to go from the 3rd fret to the 8th fret to the 11th to the 15th and then to the 19th fret, all within like half of a millisecond. Instead of trying to pick all that, I just decided to do sort of a fancy crossover hand tap pattern, and it sort of works. So some very advanced hand switching going on there. So let me take it again from the beginning of the 3rd measure. All right, here's where I run into a problem that I had a hard time solving. Suddenly they have a mute followed by another 8th fret. So I just hit the 8th fret on the 2nd string. They want us to mute and hit it again. So instead of doing that, which would just trip me up, I'm actually just gonna tap another note and pull it back off to the 8th fret just to save myself the headache. Since you're going so fast, it really doesn't matter in the long run, but I just thought I'd point that out. That's like the hardest thing I ever had to do right there. All right, we're finally at the last measure. Now, it's just as crazy. There's a lot of weird stretches and taps, but at the very end, it's really interesting because they have us going from tapping to instantly picking. So I decided, since that's nearly impossible to do, I'm just going to go ahead and tap the end, and just so it kind of sounds more smooth than if I switched. So here's the final measure. Okay, so like I said, it took about 3 weeks just to be able to play the whole thing through slowly. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do that for you. And then instead of trying to spend another year of my life trying to play incorrect tab up to speed, I'm just gonna speed up the video of what I just played slowly and then see if it sounds anywhere near the actual version. So here's the whole thing slow the wrong way. Let's see how it sounds sped up. Actually, it doesn't sound too bad. It's surprising sometimes, even though there are a lot of incorrect notes, that when you speed it all up, it sounds pretty close. It's just when you think of how impossible that would be to play at full speed, it's just not worth all that effort, in my opinion. Especially when you know the real version and how much simpler it actually is. Just a quick side note, the rest of the solo transcribed in the book is actually okay. There are a few weird anomalies, like for example, this really fast 4 cascading note sequence that he does. The book says you have to pick it all, and that would just be insane. If you watch him do it live, he does pull-offs. So, besides that, everything else in the solo is somewhat decent in the book. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to comb through the book and see if there's anything else that's crazy. Maybe I could do it in a future video. But that's it for today. I want to thank everybody who wrote in and reminded me about this tab. And I guess we'll catch you guys at the next video. Thank you. Bye-bye.